In this episode, I'm going to show a bunch of the steps that are involved in doing exhaust, tying in the steering column, tying in the master cylinder, the bomb rack, and the bombs.
There's a bomb!
Wait a minute. It's not like that. Don't overthink the bomb thing. See, at first, we were going to put machine guns, but we figured it was a little over the top, so we settled on bombs. Don't focus on that right now. Let's start with the exhaust. Here's a little trick for you. When you're cutting mandrel bent tubing, if you use a radiator hose clamp to mark your line, that line will be perpendicular to the center line of the bend, thus giving you a square cut. One thing I like to do when building an exhaust is keep it clean and minimize the amount of flanges that are on the exhaust. So I'm going to try to do this with none if possible. And I spoke too soon. I really wanted to do this exhaust without a bunch of flanges. As much space as there is here, neither one of these can come out as they are right now. And I know it's crazy because it seems like there's definitely enough room. No, I just wasted a good half an hour on both of these trying to figure out if there's any way I can remove them and install them intact as one piece. It just ain't gonna happen. So, okay, now that we're done crying, where are we gonna put the flanges? In the obvious places. I'll put right there at the end of the muffler and right there at the beginning of the muffler. All right, cool. It's all welded up. I have to still paint it and wrap it with exhaust wrap, but we'll come back to that later. Right now, though, let's get working on the steering column. I got to get it hard mounted to the jet. Now, like all the parts I install, I really try to keep serviceability in consideration, especially since on something like this, I'm going to be the guy servicing it. This is a fun little bracket. No CNC, nothing fancy, just old school. Good time to have a phone, huh? You'll be surprised to find out that there is not a website dedicated to selling parts for planes that you want to convert into hot rods. I searched. Next challenge, I got to get brakes in this thing. Now, I have rotors, I have calipers, front and back, but I don't have an actual pedal. I don't have a brake booster, a master cylinder, or anything. What I do have is enough real estate in there to be able to fit an assembly. So I've gotten rid of everything that no longer belongs here. Every hose, bracket, clip, tab, everything that doesn't belong here has been removed. So what that means is I have a couple of areas here that I can mount a plate to. Specifically, that plate right there. The piece of 3/16 plate with the corresponding holes that match what's over there. I put together just a very simple bracket. And this is kind of the life-saving purchase. This is available online. This right here is your 90-degree super tight space brake assembly. It's nice if you don't have a ton of space. It gives you a small booster, it gives you a master cylinder, it gives you the lever, and I have a pedal in that box over there. And that whole little assembly is going to squeeze back in here. Okay, hang on a second. Before I install the master cylinder, I need to install a proportioning valve. And to do that, I need to make a bracket and I need to make some lines. So let's cut to that real quick.
Whoa, like, what is this?
How about a quick crash course on this thing? There's a million companies that make them. They make them by a bunch of different names. It's a flaring tool, but at the end of the day, this is the style that I prefer. I've used this thing on a bunch of different cars. I've used it on fuel lines and I've used it on some pretty large lines too. And man, I've never had a problem with a flare. That being said, there's some simple steps. The first thing you're gonna have to do is identify the diameter of the brake line you're using. Once you know the diameter of the brake line you're using, you need to figure out what type of flare you're gonna be applying. Okay, so now that you know what line you're using and you know what flare you're gonna go with, you have to set up the tool itself. There's 3 simple steps. Step 1, you're gonna set the depth of the brake line. Now this is really easy. First thing you have to do is rotate the collar to the set setting. You'll notice that this has the die with the flat face. That's what's gonna press your brake line up against the dies to make sure it's at the correct depth. Basically, you're gonna take the line, you're gonna put it in the die and stick it out a little bit past the dies, and then you'll tighten it down just a smidge. You'll pull the lever, the brake line will get pushed back flush with the face of the die, and now you've set it. Be sure to tighten up the clamp so it doesn't move on the next operations. Step 1, done. So step 2 is operation 1 on the tool. Because I'm gonna be doing a double flare, the first operation is the first flare. So we're gonna turn the dial to operation 1, and we're gonna pull the lever, and done. Then for operation 2, we're gonna repeat the process. Turn the dial, pull the lever, and done. You're gonna wanna add a little bit of lubrication on this process. Use brake fluid. I have a jar that I keep in the shop that's literally just for stuff like this. It's good practice to keep it separated from actual brake fluid that's gonna be put into a vehicle. By the way, one more thing. If you thought that I forgot about mentioning the fittings, I didn't. I just want you to learn.
The hard way, like I did. So what's with the bombs? It is a military jet, right?
What else are you expecting to see on this thing? In this particular case, they all serve a purpose. The large bomb on top is our fuel cell. The second largest bomb on the passenger side is the air ride tank. And the two on the driver's side, they have two purposes. The first one is a vacuum canister for the brake booster, and the one behind it is the coolant overflow for the radiator. So these systems already have to be in place on a vehicle. We figured why not dress them up and make them fit the theme. Understood? You got it? Good? Yeah? Make sense? Cool? Okay, let's get back to building. Check this out. This is a little magnetic tap holder that I just whipped up with some scrap steel and a broken socket. It's got a little magnet in it. Boom, pop this in there. The tap stays in place. No tightening or loosening. It just works. That was stupid. Sometimes you have to measure large cylindrical objects and you don't have any proper tools for that task. In this case, tape is your best friend. Just wrap a piece of tape around it, put a single cut in it, unroll it, and measure out that total length. Then you're gonna use pi. That's right, 3.14 pi. You're gonna take that total length and divide it by 3.14, and there's your diameter. Thanks for checking out the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, share, whatever. It all helps. Till next time.